The end is a silent, empty dimension full of towers, islands, and a dragon circling its main island. But it wasn't always like this. There was a time when this dimension was alive, glowing, and full of hope. This is how the end began. Before the end, before the portals, before the dragon, there was peace. The overworld was ruled by a civilization unlike any other. They weren't greedy, they weren't cruel. They were just a society of builders. They were known as the architects, and they didn't build just for themselves, but for everyone. They even built massive underground prisons. And not out of hate, but order. A place for wrongdoers, locked away safely so the innocent people could sleep at night. And all of this was made possible because of one man, Notch. To his people, he wasn't just a king or commander. He was a giver, a creator. They called him the God of Order. With a swing of his enchanted axe, he could clear forests in seconds. With a flick of his hand, crops would bloom instantly. But more than that, he gave his people purpose. Under his rule, no one went hungry, no one was poor, and anyone who tried to harm that peace was sealed in the deepest layers of the architect's strongholds. The world had never been so balanced, but with time came boredom. The architects have done everything, built everything, solved every problem. There was no more hungry mouths to feed, no cities left to restore, no wars to fight. Even the prisoners stopped rebelling. Notch found himself wandering, not to build, just wandering. One day, deep inside a mountain cave, Notch stumbled across something strange. It wasn't a temple or a ruin. It was older than that, just a wall, covered in moss, with carvings, and right at the center, a glowing symbol, surrounded by ancient world. He brushed away the dirt and read the message out loud. Here lies the gateway to a land of beauty and wonder, a gift to the curious. But beware, do not eat the fruit. Under it was a diagram, a way to build something Notch had never seen before, a portal, one made not of obsidian, but of glowstone, and a strange blue crystal as its portal. Notch's eyes widened. A new land? Something beyond the overworld and nether? Excited, he ran back to the city. The architects gathered. The skies turned gold as Notch stood on the great platform and raised his hand.
My people, we have built all there is to build here, but today that changes.
He showed them the carvings, the portal design. Construction of the portal began the very next day. Dozens of the best builders gathered in the great hall. They mined glowstone and constructed the towering ark with the same precision they once used to rebuild broken villages. When the frame was finished, Notch placed the final crystal at the top. So Notch stepped forward, placed a foot inside, and disappeared. What he saw changed everything. The sky was beautiful. The ground was smooth and pale. Trees grew sideways, stretching across the air like stairways. Flowers glowed softly in the shade. Islands floated gently, as if on invisible waves. It was peaceful. Notch stood in awe. He looked back at the portal. His people stood there, watching nervously. He smiled.
It's safe.
One by one, they entered. This new realm was like nothing they had ever seen. They named it the Eder. Everywhere they went, they found new resources. Trees that bore golden apples. A white powder that made you float just a little when you ran across it. And at the edge of the first island, they discovered something curious. A purple fruit glowing gently on a spindly tree. The fruit shimmered in their hands. Notch recognized it from the ancient wall. Chorus fruit. He pointed at it and said,
We don't touch this. We don't eat it. Ever.
And his people obeyed. In just weeks, they built cities better than anything in the overworld. Houses that floated, roads that moved, storage rooms that organized themselves. With the help of Eder crystals and flight powder, they made endships, flying vessels that could travel from island to island without falling. Life had never been better. And yet, something tugged at Notch's mind. That fruit. One day, as they were building near the edge of a high island, a builder named Aaron stood beside the chorus tree. He was always curious, too curious. No one was watching. He picked the fruit and took a bite. The next second, he was teleported to a pocket dimension. It had a platform and a giant portal further away. Behind him were hundreds of endermites chasing him to the portal. He swiftly jumps into the massive end portal and escapes. For the others, he teleported instantly, but to Aaron, not quite. Everyone panicked. Notch was called. He arrived in seconds.
What happened?
He asked.
Yo, that dude ate the fruit, bro. Then he just teleported out of nowhere.
The group looked around. Suddenly, Aaron bitten by a purple parasite. Before anyone could react, Notch crushed it instantly. It evaporated into purple smoke. Aaron passed out. For weeks, No one touched the chorus fruit again. Notch gave new orders.
Chorus fruit is forbidden. If you find it, destroy it.
But deep down, he was intrigued. Teleportation. Aaron eventually woke up, seemed fine, but something about him was off. He stopped speaking. His skin began to turn dark. He refused food, wouldn't look people in the eyes. And then one night, he attacked. Without warning, Aaron lunged at Notch in the middle of a city ceremony. Notch, caught off guard, dodged once, and then struck him with the back of his axe. When he was struck, Aaron completely transformed. It was tall, black, eyes glowing, the first enderman. Notch swiftly killed the enderman. It dropped something small, an ender pearl. He picked it up. His heart was racing, and then one day, Notch dropped the pearl. He was standing on top of a tower. The pearl slipped from his hand, tumbled off the edge, and vanished into the air. The next instant, he was teleported to the pocket dimension. He sees thousands of endermites. He swiftly flies to the giant end portal, not bringing any endermite with him, and he was standing miles away at the bottom of the tower, perfectly fine. He had just teleported. No fruit, no bugs, just the pearl. Notch now understood what the pearl could do. Teleportation, not by accident, but by choice. It didn't just move you across space, it moved you across dimensions. He ran tests in secret, threw pearls off cliffs, into rivers, even into one of the flying end ships. Every time, he reappeared. Instant, exact. The chorus fruit caused chaos, random, dangerous. But this was controlled. He didn't tell the others. Too many were still afraid, and what happened to Aaron still haunted them. But Notch wasn't afraid. He wanted to understand this gift, to master it. He began searching for more ender pearls, but they only came from one source. Enderman, and so far there had only been one, and Notch had killed him. Back in the cities, the people were still thriving. Notch returned to his throne, silent, thoughtful. He locked the pearls away. He wanted to protect them. He made a rule.
No one touches chorus fruit, not ever again.
And for a while, no one did. Back in the overworld, one day someone broke out. Deep below, inside the original architect stronghold, a prisoner escaped. He had no name, just a number, 019. He had been locked away for decades, too dangerous to be released. No one remembered what he did, only that he could never be trusted. But the world had changed. The cities were empty now. The builders had moved on to the Eder. No one was watching. He found the old portal, still active, and he stepped through. He looked around and saw a tree, a strange purple fruit glowing gently. He picked it, ate it, and vanished. Inside the pocket dimension, he wasn't afraid. He was angry. The endermites swarmed him, but couldn't pierce his skin. The prisoner fought back, slamming them into walls, smashing them underfoot. He escaped through the portal, dragging 2 mites with him. Someone found him wandering the city.
"Don't ever eat that fruit again!"
They screamed.
"Those things will bite you, and you'll turn!"
The prisoner just smiled.
Not me.
He said,
I'm built different.
he asked for one thing.
Where's Notch?
He found the ruler on a high balcony, watching the skies. Notch turned, surprised.
You were locked away.
Prisoner held up a chorus fruit.
I know what this does now. I know what's in there.
Notch narrowed his eyes.
You're infected. If you eat that,
I radiated.
The prisoner grinned.
Not once, 1,000 times.
Notch's stomach dropped.
What?
I figured it out.
The prisoner said,
Every time someone eats this, more of those things show up in that dark place.
And you?
I fed it to myself over and over and over.
Notch stared, horrified.
I can eat this chorus fruit, lure the billions of endermites into the portal, and kill all of you. Or you can give me powers. I want power, or I open the gates. You don't have time to insta-kill me. The chorus fruit is too strong. The moment you throw anything at me, I will just teleport, and billions of endermites will as well. Make up your choice, Notch.
Notch had no choice. To protect these people, he gave the prisoner what he asked. Powers on par with his. But right after the prisoner gained his powers, he immediately ate the chorus fruit, and billions of endermites began swarming the Eder. One by one, they found people and bit. Not just people, the peaceful architects began turning, their skin darkened, their voice vanished. Their infection turned them into endermen. The skies filled with screams. End cities that had taken years to build fell in minutes. One tower collapsed after another. Endermites flooded every block of ground. The builders tried to fight, tried to shield their cities, but the mites were endless. Some survivors climbed aboard end ships, hoping to escape into the skies, but the endermen got on board. Even when they drank health potions, ate golden apples, nothing worked. The disease had no cure. A few tried escaping with elytras, gliding off the the last floating islands into the wind. The surface and islands were filled with endermites, so some of them had no choice but to fly to the void. Notch stood at the center of the main city, watching everything fall apart. His people, the ones who'd follow him to this new land, who trusted him with their lives, were becoming monsters. And at the center of it all, the prisoner.
We had a deal. Why did you do this?
You imprisoned me for justice. That great tyrant killed my family. He got what he deserved.
Revenge is never the answer.
Notch clenched his fists.
I made a mistake giving you power.
You made a mistake thinking that what you put me through was justice. That prison was hell, Notch. I was tortured, no compensation, just kept in a cage like an animal.
And then the prisoner leapt forward. A fight began. It wasn't like a normal duel. Notch was a creator, a builder. He didn't fight for sport, he fought to protect. But this time, he was fighting with everything he had. They launched off the tower, clashing midair, smashed through end spires, cracked the sky with every hit. The prisoner teleported constantly, reappearing behind Notch, on the sides of buildings, under bridges, always striking, vanishing, mocking. But Notch was stronger. He moved with precision, focus. He caught the prisoner mid-blink, grabbed his chest, launched them both upward, higher than any island had ever floated. And then, from the edge of the world, with a final blow, Notch punched him straight down into the portal. The core reacted instantly. The punch and impact created a shockwave so powerful, it shattered the Eder. The islands cracked, buildings split. Every creature, infected or not, was caught in the blast. The end, as they knew it, ended. The entire dimension rippled outward, forming massive rings of debris. Whole chunks of land were vaporized. Only the chorus trees remained, and somehow, untouched by the wave, all life except endermen were gone, and at the center of the blast, there was nothing. Just a crater and silence. Notch stood alone. He descended to the core, what was left of it, and found the prisoner there, crawling, barely breathing. The prisoner whispered,
End it. I lost. I failed. Just kill me.
Notch stepped forward and shook his head.
No.
He raised his hand and built one final creation, a curse. With obsidian and crystal, he bound the prisoner's body in chains of pure energy. He lifted him high into the air and began reshaping him, twisting his limbs, stretching his form, erasing his face, until he became something else, a massive winged beast, trapped, tormented, unable to die. The Ender Dragon. Notch placed 8 crystals around him, not for healing, but for containment. The dragon was locked in a loop, cursed to fly forever, never to rest, never to forget.
This place was beautiful,
Notch said,
and now it's gone.
He turned to the crater, to the land once filled with life, and said his final words.
The only way to end your pain is for someone strong enough to kill you.
Then Notch walked through the last portal and left the end behind.